Hello? Are you guys out there? Is is why am I waking up on this strange table? Where am I? Dr. Amanda, is that you?
I prefer to go by Mandy R, actually.
Okay.
Joshy W.
Joshy W? Wait, I didn't know my name. Is that my name? Melly Dub, is that what's going on here?
The work is important.
Mysterious and important.
Yeah.
Everybody, I think I'm very excited to welcome everybody back to the mysterious and important work being done on the Severance podcast here, formerly at Post Show Recaps, now hanging our hat at RHAP, We Know Scripted TV. Of course, I'm not alone. I'm Josh Wigler. I'm joined here by the doctors, Melissa and Amanda, respectively. Melissa, we're talking about Severance again. How about that?
I'm so excited. First of all, we've talked about this show so much and yet I have big gaps in my memory as to any of it. It's been a long time since I watched it.
Did you have a procedure?
I had some sort of, pre-post procedure. My television memories are temporally linked to my I don't know,
it's like connected to the seasons, right? You're in it when you're in it. And then it really is, I think, Amanda, the days of binge TV and peak TV being over. And now we're just in binge TV, that it kind of feels like your innie is when the show is on and your outie is all of the other times. And it might seem like it would be easy for your innie to just snap back into it because that's what they do at work. But it doesn't actually work that way IRL. So some fogginess heading into a show that's been offline for almost 3 years. Severance returns January 17th, and it will have been just under 3 full years from when it premiered.
It's been a long time. I mean, I think we've gotten used to waiting a long time between seasons of a television show. But this has been, I think, a particularly protracted period, especially because, and we're not going to give any spoilers, but we ended season 1 on a bit of a cliffhanger.
Just a tiny one.
And a lot of people have just been in suspended animation. I mean, I wish, Josh, right? I wish we'd been in suspended animation.
All of this time through the last 3 years.
But because of the writer's strike, because of some other extenuating circumstances, some creative challenges with the team, this has been a particularly protracted period that people have had to wait between seasons. And a very, very anticipated season 2 is coming.
It is coming. It's almost here. January 17th is when Severance comes back. It's on Apple TV Plus. Once it comes out, we will be covering it weekly, of course, here on the Severance podcast. But beyond that, because, Amanda, if we did have the technology to just like turn my brain off and then reactivate for the season 2 premiere, I think I would take that deal.
A lot of people, I think, would be interested in this technology
would you take the deal?
now.
Yeah, it would make podcasting so much easier, right? I could just watch everything well in advance and not. My brain gets so full of all sorts of unnecessary information. And, sometimes I would absolutely take that deal in a heartbeat. There's also plenty of other, I think, instances in life where I might consider that deal as well. We've talked about it before on the pod. There's some applications to this technology that I might find.
I would be psyched to have more than one severed me. I feel like sever me. Just keep going. Don't stop. Like apply me to have like a Severance me who's like a comics writer. Have a Severance me who's a restaurant critic. Just keep going,
I don't think you understood the lesson, Josh, from the first season.
If you have more severed selves, you can just have more jobs, right?
Yeah,
because
I could just
never get tired. It's just
I would get more jobs, and then like the me version of it at the end of a long day would just be like, woof, Bed, my favorite, and that would just be like a very
Wow.
good
The
deal for me.
the bed Josh would be really lucky.
That Josh would love himself. So that's not what Severance is about. It's not about me resevering myself over and over again. We will tell you what it is about, and we will, since we cannot turn ourselves on offline until the show returns. Instead, we are going to return to the show a little bit early. We are the trio that brought you super deep, nerdy deep dives into every single episode of Severance Season 1. We spent an off season that we thought would be shorter, finding excuses to talk about
Remember
Severance
when we thought if we
one?
cover one episode a month, that by the time we were done, we would be at season 2?
That should have been the first clue that we were in the wrong timeline.
What naive little babies we were back then.
So young back then. So here we are, and we're crazy enough to do it all over again. So this is what we are going to do. We are,
the charm.
We'll get it on the third shot. So what we're planning on doing is going back, starting next week, one rewatch episode every single Friday until Severance comes back.
Oh, this is Severance? I thought we were watching Lost.
Oh, well, I'm always watching Lost. I mean, you're kind of watching Lost if you're watching Severance, if you consider it Office Lost like I do.
Yes.
But we're going to be doing recaps every single week. You can tune in. You can check out the feed, weknowseverance.com. If that's not up and running yet, it will be soon. Just seek us out, the Severance Podcast, wherever you get it, RHAP on your podcast app of choice. You'll find us. You'll be able to come along for the ride. We are also on the We Know Scripted TV YouTube if you want to watch video versions of the podcast. That's new. We didn't do that before. No. Amanda's doing jazz hands. Or are you just showing off like all the finger traps?
No, I was showing off all the finger traps I've won. Yeah, you can get all of that exciting visual stimuli now that we're on YouTube.
Yes. So that's the plan. We're very psyched about it. The way we are planning on doing this is I wouldn't say it's totally spoiler free. I would call it informed guidance, Melissa. This is what I'm saying this is our third time through. Hopefully we've learned a thing or two that we can impart along the way to help shape people's first experience of Severance.
Yeah, I'm excited because I think for some of those first episodes, especially, we like our second time through, we were doing our Severance Media Club. So we were talking about devs, we were talking about, books and all sorts of different types of stuff. So we weren't diving deep into the episodes. And so I feel like this is our first time going through looking at the full context of the show, which is kind of exciting. But I do think that it will be, I think that it's a good level for that rewatch. If you're watching it for the first time, we're going to be like, hey, look over here. No, that detail seems like a thing you might want to pay attention to. But we won't tell you why that detail is important until it's obvious on the screen. I think
and we tried to do that the first time we watched it. I think we noticed a lot of the stuff. We just didn't know what it meant. So I think it's like we're just going to be just a tiny bit smarter. Maybe we'll even be dumber. I don't know. But it's, you sort of can't totally turn off that part of your brain that has seen all of the ensuing episodes, but we will not be like total jerks about it. Like, oh my God, I can't believe that. We're not going to do that. But
I have enough restraint to just be like, oh man, I'm so glad that we just got that scene. This made me laugh, but I don't think I'll have to be like, oh, look out for a very funny joke about seaweed later.
I was going to say, we'll probably talk less about kelp this time. Because we talked about it a lot.
See, there's no context to that. You'll be fine when you get there. So that's like the level of spoilers you're going to get here, I think. And what we're going to do otherwise is we're going to take the episodes as they come. We'll do a quick discussion about them. We'll play some games. We'll have some fun.
Wow.
Maybe a melon or two. I don't know.
Some team building games, Josh.
Trust balls, I think. We'll do all sorts of stuff like that. And then hopefully by the end of this whole thing, we will have added something to your first or however many Severance experience you've had. And hopefully we will be locked in for Severance Season 2. So these are the plans. This is the war plan for the next several weeks. We're in Severance mode now, probably through like almost April-ish. So that's a nice thing to be able to just kind of commit to.
If you need something in this
In
world
case.
to look forward to, you can look forward to Severance season 2 and our coverage of it, and you can be along for the ride for this season 1 rewatch. A lot of people that I've heard from, Josh and Melissa, who are really excited about season 2 coming back, feel like, yeah, they're definitely going to go back and rewatch it because it has been a long time, and this is such a dense show that I do think it's going to benefit. Like, I think that people are going to get psyched, first of all, rewatching and imagining what could go into season 2. And I think that we're going to benefit from all of that lore when we start watching season 2 in January.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
And we can like make some predictions because we don't know. We're not spoiled. We've got a trailer out, but that's really
it's a tease. It's just like a little what is it? What do
tiny.
they call them? A sizzle? Is that what they call it in the
Is that what
biz?
It's a teaser trailer, I think.
Okay.
Just a
Okay.
little
Yeah.
sousson of Severance
Okay.
for us to digest.
Mhm.
So yeah, we can speculate wildly like we did during our first watching, and hopefully people can speculate along with us. I'm really excited to kind of the best part of talking about Severance the first time was getting everybody's theories, people sending in feedback. So I hope that people will do that again, because I think that it is the best part is to dive deep into a show like this and everyone speculate wildly, and then at the very end we're all wrong, but we had some fun along the way.
It was so fun, and I have to say, like, I feel like this was a TV experience, like watching Severance season 1 and the community of people that were speculating about it and discovering it, that I've come to appreciate more and more in the ensuing years, because I do feel like we were in like a golden era of peak TV where like there was great prestige TV and everything seemed new and fresh. And I think we're in like a little bit of a slump right now. Not to say that
Well,
there's
we're
not
not
great
there
TV,
anymore. Yeah.
but it's
We've
like we're
changed.
not in those heady days of
Yes.
the Succession and even like the Game of Thrones at its peak. I feel like we have to cherish these really, really excellent shows while we have them.
Yes, this is one of them, and I've come to feel that there definitely are shows that are built for the binge streaming model that just like play better that way. I have come to feel that way. I remain firmly entrenched in the idea that nothing beats really good weekly TV. Severance is really good weekly TV. So we get to re-experience some weekly TV in the lead up to what will be very new weekly TV for all of us. And I'm really hyped. What I definitely want to make sure that we do, because I think we're preaching to the choir a little bit, is maybe lure a couple of people in on Severance. So let's go around the horn and see, like, if I asked the question, what is Severance? Do you think you could answer it? Or is it too big of a it's hard.
I'd love to try.
Yeah,
I would love to try. I mean, I do feel like Severance somehow improbably captures what people love about the workplace comedy like Parks and Rec and The Office, and also somehow takes that into the Twilight Zone or Black Mirror. And you get to have these kind of contemplations on, this futuristic dystopia that feels like it's very prescient and very much speaking to some of the issues that we're grappling with right now, but without losing the kind of humor and heart that we get from some of our favorite comfort shows. So this would be my pitch. If you have not watched Severance yet, it's a great time to jump on board. As a lot of people who have found me in the last few years and told me, oh my God, I just finished Severance. I can't believe all of you suckers have been waiting 3 years for season 2. I only have to wait a couple months and I'm going crazy. It's like, come on board now. It's never been a better time. You can call us suckers for waiting for 3 years for season 2, but now you can experience that week to week magic of our favorite mystery box shows like Josh, like Lost, for example, where every week people are like, what the heck did that mean? Is that going to come back? I mean, we had debates all through season 1 about what's going on. Do we think this is going to be relevant? Crazy theories that end up being totally wrong or totally right. And It's really fun.
Some
So
yet
that's
to
my
be
pick.
confirmed or debunked. I will have
Yeah.
you know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm still convinced the bees or something.
The bees or something.
I don't think the bee. I think
I
Michael
don't think-
Chern said that the bees weren't any. He was like, "What
yeah.
is?" He was
What
like,
does
"What
he
is?"
know?
Yeah. He's like,
Michael
why are
Chern.
you referencing this show that I was on that I don't know as well as you because I haven't talked about it for 30 hours already?
So, Melissa, do you think that sounds right? Is this like Black
Yeah.
Mirror meets The Office?
Yeah, I think that's a really apt description because I think the two parts that you pointed out, it is both like very funny. We had so much fun talking about it because there are
It's
so
funnier than
many
The Bear.
there
Probably
are so
true.
many good lines in it that, and some of these actors are just incredible in terms of their like it's headed by Adam Scott of all things, right? Like
I
this is a
love that
funny
man. I
cast,
love him.
and it's but at the same time, it's led us to have so many fun conversations around, and I mean fun in terms of like, in depth and tricky and nuanced around the role of work in our lives and our relationships to the people that we work with, our relationship with work and our lives outside of work, and our identities in those arenas as well. I think that there's really interesting, like, psychological and philosophical ideas at work here. And so there's just endless fodder. The reason we keep talking about the show is because we still haven't, there's still more that we can talk about. And I think that
It's
that
very
is so
rich.
fun. And, at the same time, you get to listen to the three of us on a podcast, which is just a good time.
I'm the biggest fan of this Severance podcast because I get to sit in and be a fly on the wall with the two of you. And so for people who either don't know who you are in the context of the Severance podcast, I'd love to reintroduce you and to talk a bit about your expertise and your professional background because it's very relevant as it pertains to a lot of what comes up on Severance. So Melissa, I'll put you on the spot first.
Sure. So for this is my first RHAP podcast.
Is
but
this
I
your
was
first time on RHAP?
Yeah, it is.
We love to hear this.
Long time patron, long time listener. But I was
First time
podcasting.
caller.
Yeah, but I was podcasting with post-show recaps quite a bit, but largely got my foot in the door first on the patron feed as the co-host of YA, where Kevin Mahadeo and I were talking Mighty Ducks, young adult media of various kinds, and then on Severance and a whole bunch of other stuff. Amanda and I have since done multiple podcasts together over on post show, which was fun. So but in my professional life, I have a PhD in neuroscience, which is very fitting. So I was able to say when certain images on the board were actually images of brains that were atomically correct. So that's always fun. But yeah, my doctoral thesis was on the impact of exercise on the brain for people with schizophrenia. Just if you're curious about that, I love to talk about mental health and community health for people dealing with poverty and homelessness and all that kind of stuff. And I have now shifted out of academia and I work in health research consulting. So I now get to talk about things beyond neuroscience, but neuroscience is still my passion. And I love talking about brains because they are the coolest.
This is the best show to talk about brains. We love having dedicated brain content here on the Severance podcast. Dr. Amanda, you contribute to this discourse as well.
Yeah, I also study brains. I have a different background from Melissa, although we do have some overlap. I'm a clinical neuropsychologist by training, and I do brain injury rehabilitation research. So I do some work that involves, neuroimaging and understanding the mechanisms of brain behavior relationships, but I do a lot of work helping people who've had traumatic brain injury cope with cognitive and emotional changes as a result of their injuries and developing and testing behavioral interventions. So Melissa and I are both really interested in talking about things like memory and talking about things like how the brain compartmentalizes experiences of trauma and how that affects memory, how that affects recall. And we both love it. We get so delighted when a show does the work to come up with something that's somewhat factually accurate. So it's really fun when we get to do a little bit of nerding out about things in our area of expertise. Hopefully it doesn't get like too boring, but I do think that it's like we've had fun with doing that on this and our Severance coverage in particular, because like even though the show is not like entirely medically and factually accurate, it gets enough of those things right that I think it's able to have really interesting conversations. And as we go more and more into talking about the show and the technology at the heart of the show, I mean, we're living in a world where there's more neural implant technology, more like neurostimulation out there. So this is some stuff that like in the realm of neuroethics, like we're gonna all be grappling with as a society.
Are we in the 3 years since Severance went offline any closer to being able to actually sever ourselves, do you think?
Ooh, what do you think, Melissa?
So I think that some of the fundamental issues around the concept of severance technology are probably insurmountable in some ways. I think that realistically, this is not a technology that will exist in our lives. But I think that, like Amanda said, there's enough things that they get right that it feels possible from a like scientific perspective, not just a like TV watching this, but like even for Amanda and I, this feels like something that could exist, given a few kind of suspended disbelief aspects. And I think that, so I don't think that we are actually much closer, but it is really interesting what Amanda's saying. Like is a lot of deep brain stimulation therapy being used right
Ask
now.
Saul from this season of Survivor about it.
There you go. Also, I feel like there was a slip earlier with Severance, which I feel like is some sort of Delinsky type thing. So I'm very down for that. But yeah, so I
wonder
think
if he watches. I would bring him on. Yeah, why not?
Yeah, I think that there's lots of really interesting, like it's sort of if we took the technology that we have today and took it a few steps down the road, but then also added a little bit of a sci-fi element to it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
There are there are absolutely people right now who are being treated with neural implants for a variety of different things, including depression and Parkinson's disease. And there are companies like, Elon Musk is involved in neural implant and is interested in like this kind of neuro prosthesis of like being able to control, like what if you could control your
mind control
Tesla with your brain, like I don't know, but there's like
don't let that man near your brain. That's just that is my professional advice.
Is that why he's obsessed with X? Is he trying to turn us into X-Men?
Don't give him any ideas.
Probably not a good one to float out there. Okay, so we're not going to get severed for real.
Not today.
Not today.
Not unless
today,
you had
Satan.
some sort of incredibly severe epileptic disorder in which perhaps there was like some medical benefit too. There are like kind of particular severing procedures that can happen, but they are incredibly extreme and only useful for very particular people. It's not the severing of memory.
Not as action-packed and mysterious as Apple TV+.
There are no goats involved at all.
Severance, no goats. Okay, so one thing that I want to make sure that we're going to do every week is I would like to introduce tier incentives into the podcast. Now, as folks get into Severance, you will come to find that the characters are often eligible for rewards. These rewards include, I believe that this is in order of we're going to be escalating the value as we go here. Erasers is the first thing you get. You can get a finger trap as the next tier up. That's tier 2.
Did you say tier incentives or Kier incentives?
Well, I mean, we could call them Kier incentives for sure. So Kier incentive 1 is the eraser, not the Schwarzenegger film. Kier 2, finger traps, like the things that you stick your fingers in. And do people do that for fun?
I don't know.
I feel
is it like a thrill? It's like, I'll never see them again.
Do you know what it is? It's like the cheapest thing that you can get at an arcade, like, if you only have a few tickets, like, it's like there's always the finger trap. I don't know if people do it for fun, but they're very cheap to produce, and, like, little kid they do mess up little kids. Little kids get trapped, and they don't know how to get out of them.
Okay,
They're big, like, goodie bag energy for children's birthday parties.
It's like, what can I give you that's worth less than nothing?
What a prank. What a prank to put one of those in a goodie bag and the kid like goes and sticks their hand in and comes out trapped. Unbelievable. It's just terrifying to consider.
Now I'm realizing I don't actually understand like the physics involved in a finger trap. I might now I'm actually curious.
Okay, you've got homework. You've got homework before the next podcast. Okay. Tier 3, it's a huge leap up from finger traps. We go from finger traps to what is known as a music dance experience, which what that means we shall allow you to experience for yourself. And then the best thing you can get is a caricature portrait drawn of you. Beyond all of that, in Severance, people who perform the very best for their particular quarter are rewarded with a waffle party, which we will also not get into quite yet. So some of this writes itself for me. Every week, I would like to get somebody closer to the waffle party. I would like each of us to have an MVP of every episode as we go along.
So this is sort of like the Chizzy points.
We're sort of Chizzyifying Severance, Chizzy Industries. We will open this up. If you want to send in an email, we'll get our email up and running as well. Severance, RHAP at gmail.com. We'll get that set up. It'll forward to the three of us. So you can look forward to that. You can send your selections for MVP in as well. And we'll see what the results are at the end of the season. Caricature portrait I'd like to hand out for the funniest thing of the week. This is a very funny show. Severance is sort of stealthily hilarious.
Yeah. So I have a question about eligibility for these Kier incentives. Are we only talking about, are all of the characters eligible for Kier incentives, or are we really focusing on our core?
Anyone on the show will be eligible for anything.
Okay.
No restrictions. Fair play, equal chances for everyone involved on Severance. You could even write in Ben Stiller if you want. If Ben Stiller is your answer to one of these questions. I would like to hand out the music dance experience to whatever or whoever gave us the best vibes.
Okay.
In each episode. So that could be person, place, or thing, I think.
I love a vibes-based reward system.
I feel like there's going to be a lot of vibes in this system. Okay.
So finger traps, I feel like I don't really know what to give those out for. I was thinking like, who's in danger? Was sort of a thought. Like, who's struggling this week? Maybe is who gets the finger trap.
That seems thematically on point.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got that. And then we've got erasers, which I think I would like to use on our theory board because we will have tons of chalk, certainly, as we go here, sketching out theories that we had along the way on our first watch. And then we're going to need erasers to clear it out for season 2. But I feel like with the eraser, maybe we could just flip that for chalk, and we could use this as an opportunity for all of us to highlight one theory that we really love from each and every episode.
Yeah. I wonder what mine will be. I know.
Yeah,
I wonder.
Then one last thing, and I thought we could start it off this week, is every week I'd like to give out a crystal head cube. According to Dylan, it's not a prize; it's just a thing they give to you. So the Mark S. Memorial crystal head cube. Every week, just give it to whoever you want or whatever you want. No criteria involved. Just whatever you're feeling. So, for example, for me, my crystal head cube this week is going to go to Dylan's theory about certain aquatic animals.
Yeah.
That was the last thing that I watched as I tried to watch a couple of Severance episodes before this, and I had forgotten it, and I laughed quite hard. And I look forward to highlighting it in my eraser in a couple of weeks.
And Melissa, if it sounds dumb because Josh explained it dumb.
That's right.
Yeah.
You've got crystal head cubes to doll
Crystal
out.
head cubes are very fun. Love
very
a crystal head cube.
Yeah, I think my crystal head cube for the week just goes to, hey, the three of us. Look at us. We're here.
Yay!
Yeah.
I like to imagine we're all on the crystal head cube together.
By the end of all of Severance, if we aren't like the preeminent Severance like podcast theory destination, and we are not like etched in crystal on the side of some sort of collectible, I'll be pretty disappointed with ourselves.
Or at least I want a caricature, at the very least.
Caricature, I think we could accomplish more easily. Amanda, Mandy R, who you giving your crystal head cube, your preseason crystal head cube?
My pre-season crystal head cube goes to Ben Stiller, who's still out there on those Twitter/X streets, liking my tweets when I tweet about Severance. I love this man. He actually, I mean, we're all in a very dark time right now, and he tweeted something that suggests maybe he needs to take a break from things. But like, I feel like he engages so sincerely with the fans and is really excited to be bringing the show back, and we're really excited that he's bringing the show back. And he loves New York sports. And I think he deserves a crystal head cube. I hope somebody in his life has gotten him one. I mean, it makes sense. Like, he should have one.
I think that's fair. I back that crystal head cube for Ben Stiller. And yeah, I imagine if he wanted one though, he'd have one.
I think he has the means. Yeah.
I mean, can you buy yourself a crystal head cube? I feel like
it is pretty
you have to be gifted, right?
Yeah, you do.
You can, you shouldn't.
Yeah.
But you literally can. So we will give out these superlatives each and every week. And then beyond that, we will be talking about every single episode of Severance Season 1 along the way. And yes, this time for real, talking about the episodes. We absolutely will. Starting next week with the Season 1 premiere, the series premiere of Severance is what's on the docket. So looking forward to that, covering that with the doctors, Melissa and Amanda, who you can hear more of on their podcasts as well. Whirlwind Podcast is at whirlwindpodcasts.com, Melissa. Is that right?
Yeah, so check us out. I'm over there talking Doctor Who with Kevin Mahadeo and Adam H., so more PSR alum. And Adam and I are also going through Veronica Mars. We are just starting our season 2, so that has been very fun. Boy. Other stuff, we've got Todd and Tommy talking all things animation and cartoons. The Previously On crew is currently going through Pretty Little Liars, only watching the Previously On, and then they speculate what's on the actual show. It is a wild premise. And then the One Indescribable podcast group is starting to talk about Schmigadoon and going through the musicals covered in Schmigadoon. So lots of like musical expertise coming in there. So it's kind of something for everybody. Zed just wrapped up Only Murders in the Building. Zed and Adam are talking about Smash. There's something for everybody.
All right, whirlwindpodcast.com. Dr. Amanda, you are crying laughing on your podcast.
Indeed. Yeah. Ariel and I talk about TV every week. We have been doing our rewatch of 6 Feet Under, which started on the Post Show Recaps Network, and we've kept that up. We're now just in the first few episodes of season 5, the final season. Wow. This has been an amazing show to revisit. It's been incredible. We've had a great time talking about everything in 6 Feet Under. If you somehow have never seen it, it's on Netflix. Like, check it out. I think it's like excellent TV viewing, like one of those great shows to come out of the early aughts. And I mean, I'm gonna pat myself on the back and say that we are the best 6 Feet Under podcast in the whole world. I think we're doing a really good job talking about 6 Feet Under. So that's great. We also talk about current TV and do some other fun things like talking about 10 television shows and 10 movies that made us the people that we are. We also talked about 10 things that scare us on Halloween, and we didn't know how scary the world was going to be. So check us out on Crying Laughing Podcast. You can find us Crying Laughing Podcast on Linktree, or follow the pod on Twitter at Cry Laugh Pod.
I'd like to pat all three of us on the shoulders for being the best Severance podcast out there as well.
Yes.
I'm going to be so bold as to say so. You just don't get it like you do here on our Severance feed. So make sure you're back next week. Follow Dr. Amanda and Melissa on all of their podcast adventures as well. If you've got feedback, severancerhap@gmail.com is the place to do it. And we know severance.com. We'll get that up and running, and that is going to link to our podcast feed. So next week, it's the season series premiere. I can't believe it. We're starting all over again. We're going to have weekly Severance in our lives. It's a great thing for all of us. We hope you're as excited as we are. And until then, back to the table, I guess.
Oh,
Bye.
Bye.